Hi everyone. Welcome back to Math with Mrs. Brunel. Thanks for checking out my channel today. We are learning about angles this week. Let's get started. We are learning about angles so we can say that we can recognize angles in geometric shapes. Let's start with a math message to get our brains thinking about math. Look at each shape. How many corners and sides does each shape have? The first shape here, you've guessed it, is a triangle. How many sides and how many corners does it have? You're right. A triangle has 3 sides and 3 corners. Go ahead and look at the rectangle. How many sides and corners does it have? You're right. The rectangle does have 4 sides and 4 corners. How about a trapezoid? Can you find the number of sides and corners? 2, 3, 4 sides. And if you said 4 corners, you're right. And it looks like the parallelogram also has 4 sides and 4 corners. Great job. So we are learning about polygons and their attributes. A polygon is a shape. Polygons have sides. We call the sides lines or edges. Polygons have corners. Corners are where 2 lines meet. We call corners the vertex or vertices. Polygons have angles. Let's learn about different angles. Here's your vocabulary for today. We have right angle, obtuse angle, acute angle, and parallelogram. Remember that you can always pause this video or rewind it to come back to this page to help you remember some of the new words that we're learning today. So we've learned that an angle is where 2 sides meet. And this corner space here that you'll hear is sometimes called a vertex. And the angle is the amount of space on the inside. So if we go back to our math message, we can see that each of these shapes, or now as we call them, polygons, have sides where have a spot where the 2 sides meet to make a corner. And now we know that instead of calling them corners, we can also call them angles. And we can see that each of our shapes has angles. And we remember that we learned that a triangle had 3 corners, which means it has 3 angles. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 angles on the rectangle, 4 angles on the trapezoid, and 1, 2, 3, 4 angles in a parallelogram. But when I look closely at each of these angles, they all look different. So today we're going to learn about these different types of angles. We have the most common angle, a right angle, which forms and makes a perfect letter L, and it makes a perfect corner that we see in a square. There's also a straight angle, and that's just a flat line, like we would draw on our page. That's called a straight angle. And then we have acute angles. Those are these tiny ones here that you might see sometimes in a triangle. Then we have the obtuse angle, and that is the really big angle that we see when we draw our parallelogram. And you can see that obtuse angle is way bigger, so much bigger than this little tiny acute angle here. So today, as you're learning about angles, I have a new game that you could try to play. It's called Rock, Paper, Scissors, Angles. Here's how you play. It's just like rock, paper, scissors that we would sometimes play at school, but instead we're using different types of angles. So we have the acute angle that you can make by showing the number 2 or making a letter V. The obtuse angle, when you put your thumb and pinky out like the letter Y. A right angle that you can make with your letter, making the letter L, or a straight angle by just showing the number 1. And so you would play by first starting off with finding a partner, and with your partner deciding on who's going to be counting first. And then we'll say rock, paper, scissors, angles. And then on angles, you make an angle with your hands. And you can go back to this page to help you remember how to play or which angles to make. But here are the rules. An obtuse angle beats an acute angle. An acute angle beats right and straight angles. Right angles beat obtuse angles, and straight angles beat obtuse and right angles. So, feel free to try that game out today. Now that we've watched the lesson on angles, there's lots of information here to learn more about angles with our Angles Wrap. You can listen to a story that I found on Epic today all about angles. Then there's a Seesaw activity for you to complete about angles. Once you finish that, you can also check out the Freckle Fact Practice. Lightbot we've done at school, and you can see how we use angles in real life. Using the geoboard, like we would at school with the rubber bands, you could do that here from your device, and you can make angles while you play rock, paper, scissors, angles. Or we also have the Heritage Choice board that has lots of fun math games, card games, and how to play like the bank and money game you can also check out. Don't forget that we also have another lesson on angles here. There's lots of places for you to learn about angles. Here we explain the Seesaw lesson activity for the week, where you're going to find 2 examples of the types of angles around your home from acute, right, obtuse, or straight. Take a picture of the angles or just type a list of the ones that you found. And then label the angles in Seesaw. And then we have the Math and STEM choice board here too. And you can find both of those back in the Google Doc where you found this video. You can always leave a comment with a question or email Mrs. Brunel at bruneln@salineschools.org. Off you go. Have fun.